Wherever you're watching this from, or wherever you're listening to this from, I want you to remember this moment. This episode is going to be a bit different because this episode is going to be dedicated to you, however far in the future you're watching this from, be it 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20, 50. I don't know. But I want you to remember this moment, and I want you to be proud of what you've accomplished to reach this current moment in order to set yourself up to be where you are today. The long nights, the sleepless nights, the early mornings, the amount of things that you've tried just to put yourself in a place where you can, regain that confidence in yourself. At the beginning of this year, 2023, when you started, one of the biggest revelations you had was not being able to trust yourself and what you needed to do to regain that trust so that you can rely on your abilities going forward. And it started, as funny as it may seem now, with not hitting the snooze button. And yes, there were still some moments where in between time, it did happen. But at the beginning of the year, you set out to, whenever that alarm clock went off, to get up and do what you promised yourself to do the night before. Again, this was one of the biggest revelations you had, where because you weren't keeping these small little promises you were making to yourself, something as simple and insignificant as not hitting the snooze button, it rolled over into other areas where the tasks and the projects that you wanted to embark on, you didn't feel confident enough that you'll be able to do this. Subconsciously not knowing what was causing, this lack of confidence. You set out at the beginning of the year learning to write. Not to be the best writer, but learning to express your feelings, your thoughts, your ideas in the written form. This year was a big year for you. You quit your job, your 9 to 5, while having 2 kids, a wife, a family to take care of. But you realized enough was enough, and it was time for you to take the next step. You came to this realization that every job that you found yourself in, it would be fun for a while, especially in the beginning, because it was something new. It was something new to learn, a new challenge. But after a few months went by, very quickly you would realize that there was a hole. There was something missing. And every job that you found yourself in, you always manage to have some type of side project going. Until you found that one project that really was a collection of all of the things that you were quite interested and excited to pursue. And those things being helping other businesses in their business, or just talking with other business owners about business, entrepreneurship in general. You had this creative itch that you never really called yourself a creative person, but you always had this itch that needed to scratch. And so when you found web design, you realized that here you can accomplish, many things that you were interested in. And another one of those things being just business in general, having a business of your own, being your own boss. And it's not necessarily being your own boss part, but it's just proving to yourself that you can stand on your own 2 feet and that you don't have to rely necessarily on someone to give you a paycheck. You knew there was a lot of potential you had, even though you doubted it sometimes. There was a lot of potential that you had that you weren't tapping into. And up until this point, the things that may have suppressed it, we don't know. You didn't know everything. Probably up to this day, you don't know everything. But one thing you did know was you weren't going to spend the next 50 years doing something that made you extremely unhappy. And so that's why I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you because despite your circumstances, your upbringing, your environment, that was not really conducive to where you are now, this entrepreneurship path. And the funny thing is, it was somewhat in the family. Your father or dad having back long time ago his own store, but never really getting anything from that. But during your high school years and your university years, you realize that early on there was something there. And it took some time, at this point now, you were 35, and it took some time to really step into that new phase, that new chapter, and to discover what's there. Because it was this idea of, reaching 80, maybe 90, and telling yourself, I wonder what would have happened if. And man, you know how much that ate away at you. Just that idea of having to sit with regret, not taking that step into the unknown, just because you were probably too concerned about how other people may view you, and not just other people, but specifically family, friends, those closest to you. For some reason, you always held their opinions and the judgment of others a little bit too high. And that's why I'm glad that you reached this point where you decided to say, F it. I need to do this for me. And if on that road, people don't support you, or they want to laugh at you, or they think it's ludicrous what you're doing, you came to grip with that and realized that this is the thing that makes you most happy. This is the thing that brings you the most joy. And of course, it took a level of being realistic in your decisions, ensuring that you're not too reckless or not too careless. But this thing called life is a game of taking chances, taking risks, and figuring it out, because this has been the moment you've been most alive and most happy. I'm proud of you. And, wherever you are, wherever you're watching this from, wherever you're listening to this from, just know that you were brave enough to take a chance. You were brave enough to take a chance on yourself, to take a bet on yourself. And that's most important. That's what counts. That's what you wanted to leave behind. The idea, the confidence, the inspiration that no matter your situation, no matter your circumstance, no matter your upbringing, if you want to, you can change it. And you have that control. You just needed to realize that you had that control and that you just needed to step into the driver's seat, put your foot on the pedal, and just get going. Who knows what the next chapter is going to bring, between this moment and where you are now. It's going to be a journey. But as what you're doing here, documenting this journey, is the best decision you could have made. Gonna end it right here. Not gonna make this one too long. But again, I'm proud of you. Be proud of yourself for reaching this point in time. And this being the ignition, the spark that just lit the path of fire. So we're going to end it here, and super excited to see where you're going to be and however far into the future, what's in store, and just looking back and being grateful for having this opportunity and just being in a position to pursue the things that you plan to pursue.